Okay, so we all know Microsoft Gamepass is very big. But in this series that I'm starting, I want to highlight some less well-known games in the subscription service and why they're so good and why you should try them, because there's over 200 games this service. They're adding 37 new games this month, so of course there's a lot of stuff. And some of these games can get buried in all those games, but I want to shed some light on some really good games in there that you might not have heard of. So the game we're covering today is a cool thriller horror game, and I think you guys could really enjoy it. Okay, so the game I'm talking about is called Alan Wake, made by Remedy Studios, and it's about a horror author named Alan Wake who goes to a small town called Bright Falls in America on a vacation, and his horror writings come to life and try to attack him. It sounds like kind of a generic plot, but the way it ends up is really good. And this game is not like the normal horror game with full of jump scares and stuff that you might expect. It's more about building up the atmosphere. Although there are some scary moments, really it's just tense and you keep thinking there's going to be a jump scare coming. They don't come that much. So it's not going to be like something like Five Nights at Freddy's with tons of jump scares. Because of this, I would call it more of a thriller than a horror, although it does have some horror elements in there, just not that many jump scares. I would compare it to the X-Files, just even the way it looks and the way it plays out, like some of the colors reminding me of the X-Files. And the producer of the game did admit that X-Files did inspire a lot of this. It also has some references to Stephen King movies, which are very famous, and I did like that too. The setting at first seems pretty generic. It's a small rural American town where most horror stories seem to take place. Although as you delve deeper into the lore of the city, you see it's actually pretty cool. They have a festival called Deer Fest going on. They also have some old rock and roll legends who reside there who have a very cool farm that you'll see later on. And so yeah, don't get put off by how generic it looks at the start, because it gets really cool later along in the game. So this game takes place in kind of two different cycles. During the day, there's no danger to you, as the monsters can only appear at night, kind of like Minecraft, although the game's very different to that, like the zombies die during the day. So during the day, you explore, you can talk to people, though it's not free roam. This is kind of where the story progresses more, and during the night is more of the gameplay and the fighting and the scary stuff. So you start with the game during the day after a brief tutorial, and this tutorial, it really sets the mood right away for the game. I actually got kind of scared with this tutorial, even though in the end you see that the enemy is very easy that you end up facing because of the tutorial, but I think it sets the mood great and introduces some of the premise while still leaving you confused, which is very good, because that makes you want to play through the rest of the game to find out what is really going on. I don't want to talk too much about the actual story itself, because that's a big part of the game, and I don't want to spoil anything, but I will say the strength is the characters, and the main character, Alan Wake. I've never really seen a protagonist like him. He is an award-winning author who has writer's block, so they try to go on a little vacation to this town to see if that can cure it if he takes a break, and he goes there with his wife, Alice, although he still can't escape fame at this town, as there's tons of fans there, and they keep announcing on the radio that he's there. So yeah, it's a really interesting protagonist in a cool situation. Normally there's a normal guy or like a superhero or something, you know what I mean? But no, this guy's famous, but he doesn't want to be. It's a cool dynamic that you see throughout the game. I don't want to talk about the other characters very much, because this game is very short, which is fine, but that also means there's no filler, which means anything I talk about really affects the story a lot, which is good when you're playing the game, but not too good when you're trying to talk about the story. But I will say, there was not a single annoying character. They were all very charming, and I didn't really dislike anyone, of course, except the people who were bad. But yeah, I think the characters are all good. The voice acting's pretty good, although the mouth movements don't look too good. It is an Xbox 360 game, but I will get into that a bit later. But yeah, this character and stories are very good, but I can't really go into much detail just because the game relies so much on that. So next I want to talk about the gameplay, and this gameplay is very polarizing because they really tried something different here. It's not your typical third-person shooter. You have a flashlight, and to take out the enemies, you have to put your flashlight on them, which will take the darkness away from them, which will make them mortal, which means you can then shoot them. So it's very different from most third-person shooters. Some people really like this, like me. Some people find it annoying, although it seems most people really liked it. So I hope you guys do like it. it can get a bit tough and annoying at times when there's tons of enemies. You gotta keep flashing them with your flashlight. But when you get the hang of it, it becomes really fun. And this game can get a bit hard at some points, but really it's mostly about the story. Another thing I like about the gameplay is when you do a good dodge, you're going to slow-mo, which can be really cool. You're dodging in slow-mo, blasting him with your flashlight, and then shooting him with a shotgun or something, which I thought was really cool. So the gameplay, pretty basic, but it does its job, and I really enjoyed it. And it makes sense with the lore, which I really like, and it adds to the lore actually. And the gameplay is based around the lore, which I think really adds to the atmosphere of the game. In case you couldn't tell, this game is made for the 360, which means of course it doesn't look as good as the modern games we have today. But I find that when you're playing in the game and not paying too much attention to the graphics and stuff, it doesn't look too bad. There's mist everywhere, so you can't really see the really detailed stuff, which is what a lot of games that generation did to make them look more realistic. I think it works. I don't mind it. I think the weakest parts of it are definitely the face animations and also the textures. I'll have some of those up on screen here just as an example. But unless you're really looking at it, it doesn't matter too much. I know some people don't like bad face animations, but you can't really play any 360 games, to be honest, if you don't like those. It doesn't bother me too much. I think if the game's good, the story's good, and the graphics aren't too bad for a 360 game, I don't think it's that much of a sacrifice to play this game. So I think the best part of this game is the atmosphere. The town appears generic at first, but then as you listen to the radios that you can find throughout the game, you learn a lot more about it. They are approaching an annual festival called Deer Fest that they host in the town, and they want to outperform the neighboring town in terms of people who go to their town to attend Deer Fest. And that is basically the side plot of the game. Not a side plot, but you kind of hear people talking about this throughout the game. And also, people are getting rowdy. At least that's what they think is going on. They hear all the gunfire at night. That's actually you. And things are breaking. People are disappearing. They think, oh no, people are getting rowdy for Deer Fest. They're trying to celebrate too early. And people are going missing and shooting guns off in the air. Like I guess Americans do during celebrations. I don't know. I'm not American. But in reality, it's just people disappearing because there's bad stuff going on in the town. The gunshots are you fighting off your foes. And so they actually kind of like react to what you do, which is kind of cool, while also telling their separate story. This town also has a history of bad things going on that people don't really like to talk about. So yeah, there's a lot of backstory to this town, a lot of lore. I like how it is. It appears generic, but really as you go forward, it becomes a really cool little town that you get attached to. One last thing about this game is that it takes place in an extended universe, or I should say connected universe in gaming, which are actually really rare. They're not rare in film at all. You got like Marvel, you got DC, you got all those, but it's made by Remedy, and they have their own universe. This game is also in the same universe as Control. Actually, in the DLC for Control, it is hinted at another Alan Wake game because you actually hear Alan Wake talking, which is pretty cool. And Remedy Games has said that they're working on another game in this universe coming out probably in 2022. So I actually recommend playing this game and Control if you want to learn about the universe, because I think Remedy Studios, they're going to be one of the top studios very soon. They have made Alan Wake. Control did pretty well. It's on Gamepass. It's selling a lot right now, even though it came out back in 2018, I think. But yeah, they got the game coming out in this universe. They're doing the campaign for a game called Crossfire X coming to Xbox. It's a competitive first-person shooter. And also, they've signed with Epic Games, the makers of Fortnite. They bought Fall Guys. They bought Rocket League. They're going to make a brand new IP with Epic Games. They're going to make 2 games in that series, and they keep the rights to it, which is really cool. So Epic Games doesn't just make like free online multiplayer games. They've made Borderlands and stuff like that. So that's really cool that they get to keep the property after that. So I play this game because I have a feeling their extended universe is going to blow up, and also it's just a great game. So yeah, definitely recommend this game. If you enjoyed the video, leave a like and comment down below if I should continue this series, because I think there are a lot of underrated games on Game Pass. I think Xbox should show off more of these, but if they're not, I mean, I could. I know not a lot of people watch these, but maybe if you're watching this, you could play it. But yeah, should I continue the series or should I try other stuff? Also, I've kind of revamped the YouTube channel a bit. I will be posting on Wednesdays and Fridays now, so I'm going to set a schedule. I also changed the colors up a bit, added some channel art, and I just changed stuff a bit because I know I was gone for a long time, but I want to commit to this YouTube channel again. So yeah, subscribe if you want videos every Wednesday and Friday. That's what I'll aim for. I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I hope you guys have a good rest of your day.